What's going on? I'm Scott from Koenig, and in the time it takes us to make a Hot Pocket, we're going to tell you everything you need to know about the wheel specs needed to make a wheel purchase. So this right here is going to be your diameter. This is how tall the wheel is. You can find this on your tire. This right here is going to be your width. This is a little bit more complicated. If you need to find out exactly what width your wheel is on the car, you could turn it over. It's usually stamped into the back. If not, it doesn't really matter. You can actually use sites like TireRack.com to go ahead and look and see what accepted widths will actually fit your vehicle. So this number means offset. Offset is essentially the distance between the center line of the wheel and the mounting pad. And essentially what this means is the higher the number that you have here, the more it's going to be inbound toward the car. That's going toward the strut. The lower the number, you're going to actually see this move outbound toward the fender. The reason this is important is because it actually does correspond to what width wheel you actually choose. And if you're looking for a more in-depth understanding of what offset is, we've done a video, we'll link it right here. You can go check it out and find out everything there is about wheel offset. All right, so this number right here, this is going to be bolt pattern. Essentially, every vehicle has one. They're not always going to be the same. You do have to actually pick the right bolt pattern that corresponds with your vehicle. And a quick breakdown on bolt pattern, essentially that first number that you see here, that's the number of lug holes that you actually have in the wheel. 5, 6, 4, you might see a few different numbers there. The second number you see is actually what they call pitch circle diameter. It's actually the spread in millimeters of how big that circle goes throughout. You don't really have to get into it, but if you want to find out more information, again, we've done a video on that because we're that good and that's what we do. We bring you wheel education. Now, when it comes to backspacing, you don't necessarily need to know this because offset and backspace are kind of used a little interchangeably, but they mean two different things. Backspace is basically going to be the distance from the back edge of the wheel to the mounting pad. Now, the reason that this makes a difference is if you are looking for a truck fitment or something in the off-road area, you usually will see people identify what fits the vehicle by backspacing. And this is because usually when you go to a lifted truck or you do something where you put a really knobby tire on there, something really off-road looking, that tire becomes much wider and that ballooning sometimes can cause issues with rubbing on the suspension. All right, so TPMS compatibility. This is really important. These systems not only help to keep you informed if you're losing air pressure or something happened to get in and puncture the tire, but they are a safety system that some states are now requiring with vehicle inspections. So you're going to want to make sure that TPMS is something that you look into and make sure your wheel is TPMS compliant.
Hot Pockets.
Now, some manufacturers are going to list their wheels with a wheel profile. You may see it as a disc, a face. We use an AB profile. Sometimes we'll even use a C profile. What it essentially means for us is that it's telling you how concave the spoke is and roughly how much caliper clearance you have. A profile is going to be a spoke that's going to be a little bit flatter, but it's going to have a lot more caliper clearance. B profile will have more of a concave movement, but it's going to have less caliper clearance. Yes, they kind of go hand in hand. The reason this becomes important, if your car came with an aftermarket big brake kit, if the car came with a factory big brake kit, if the car just has big brakes or has a very high offset, you're going to want to pay attention to some of these things. You do want to check with the wheel manufacturer or wheel and tire professional to make sure that it will clear your brakes. So load rating is an incredibly important topic, but it's super simple. Essentially, it's how much static weight a wheel can actually hold per that corner. You're going to want to make sure that you figure out the proper load rating that you need for your vehicle. Do not go under that with a wheel selection because you will be taking your life into your own hands. How do you find load rating? Well, we've done a video over here, but if you want to know, essentially it's pretty simple. Go to your door placard right there on the door jamb, find the heaviest axle weight. You're going to divide by 2. That is the load rating that you need to exceed when you choose a wheel. Another important thing is actually going to be Centerbore. Remember, aftermarket wheels are not necessarily designated for one vehicle or another most of the time. Some vehicles are, and then they'll be noted as hub-centric, but you want to make sure that the hub bore of a wheel is going to be at least in excess of whatever the hub size of your vehicle is. For example, if your vehicle is a 64.1 hub size, make sure that you get a wheel that has greater than that so you can use a hub-centric ring, or make sure that the wheel is actually hub-centric at 64.1. Bottom line is you're going to want to make sure that you know what the center bore of that wheel is, 1, so that it fits onto the vehicle and not have any issues, and 2, so that you can get a hub-centric ring if needed and make sure your vehicle is vibration-free. Hey Nick, I made you a Hot Pocket.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't eat that stuff. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll catch you on the next one. How's that Hot Pocket, buddy?